Hello everyone, and today we are reading some scary stories while playing Spongebob Battle of Bikini Bottom Rehydrated. The first story is called My Fiancé Stopped Sleeping After We Moved into Our House in the Appalachian Mountains. I wish I had listened to her. That is such a long title and it is so unnecessary, but the story itself is pretty decent. It is written by Outrageous Humor 624. So let's get into it. My name is Alex, and I've lived in the Appalachian Mountains my entire life. If you grow up here, you learn the difference between being scared and being cautious. I've heard coyotes that sounded like screaming women, foxes that could make your blood run cold, and black bears wandering through the yards in the middle of the night. There's almost always a reasonable explanation. About 3 months ago, my fiance and I bought a small house deep in the mountains. The nearest town is about 20 minutes away, and our closest neighbor is over a mile down the road. We wanted the quiet. We wanted to be left alone. For the first week, everything was perfect. Then she stopped sleeping. Every morning, she'd tell me she heard something walking around the house. Not random noises, slow footsteps that circled the porch and stopped outside our bedroom window. I'd tell her it was deer or a bear. She always shook her head. They're footsteps, she'd say, 2 legs. I laughed it off. I'd spent my whole life in these woods. I figured she just wasn't used to how loud the mountains could be at night. For almost 2 weeks, the same conversation happened every morning. She'd look exhausted. I'd tell her it was wildlife. Eventually, she stopped arguing with me. Then one night, I woke up on my own. She was already sitting upright in bed, staring at the window. Without looking at me, she whispered, "Do you hear it?" At first, nothing. Then, crunch, crunch. Slow footsteps outside. Not pacing, walking with purpose. I listened, waiting to hear 4 feet moving through the leaves like a deer or a bear. Instead, the sound stopped directly beneath our bedroom window. Then came something that still makes me uncomfortable to think about. Whispering. I couldn't make out the words. It sounded like several people quietly talking over each other, just low enough that it sounded like it was right outside of the glass. My fiancée grabbed my arm so hard her nails dug into my skin. "I told you." I got out of bed, unlocked my gun safe, and grabbed my hunting rifle. I honestly expected to walk outside and find a bear standing against the house, or maybe someone messing with us. I stepped onto the porch with a flashlight in one hand and the rifle in the other. The yard was empty. I swept the light across the tree line. That's when I saw it. Standing just inside the woods, maybe 30 yards away, was something I still can't explain. It was unnaturally tall, pale enough that the flashlight caught it immediately, thin, almost impossibly so, with long arms hanging at its side. It wasn't hiding behind a tree. It was standing completely still, looking at me. I don't remember seeing eyes. I don't remember seeing a mouth. I just remember knowing it was looking directly at me. For a few seconds, neither of us moved. Then it leaned forward slightly, not like it was getting ready to run, more like it was curious. I fired. The rifle echoed through the valley. The thing turned and disappeared into the trees faster than anything I've ever seen. It didn't crash through the bush or snap branches. One second it was there, the next it wasn't. The sheriff came out the next morning. He searched the property, checked the woods, and eventually told me it was probably a bear or someone trespassing. There were no tracks, no blood, no signs that anything had been there at all. My family doesn't believe us. Most of our friends don't either. The truth is, some days I don't know what to believe. Maybe my fiance's lack of sleep got into my head. Maybe I saw something ordinary and my brain turned it into something else. We moved out 11 days later. For months afterwards, neither of us talked about it. Then, while unpacking boxes in our new house, my fiance found an old phone she'd used when we first moved into the mountains. She was scrolling through old pictures when she suddenly froze. "Alex?" I looked over, and she'd gone completely pale. She handed me the phone without saying another word. The photo had been taken almost a week before the night I saw the thing. It was an ordinary picture of our backyard at sunset. She'd sent it to her sister to show how isolated the house was. At first, I didn't understand what she was trying to show me. Then she zoomed in on the tree line. Standing between two trees was a tall, pale figure. The same shape, the same impossibly thin body, the same place I'd seen it that night. Neither of us had noticed it when the picture was taken. I've stared at that photo more times than I can count. What bothers me isn't that it's there. It's what happened after I looked closer. The figure wasn't facing our house. It was facing deeper into the woods, like it had been watching something else. I don't know what scared me more, the idea that it had been there long before we noticed it, or the possibility that whatever it was watching eventually left the woods and came to our window. I truly feel like the sheriff knew more than what he said. Yeah, that story, I would not be hanging out ever in the Appalachian Mountains. I don't know why people live there. Personally, I think that you should give those mountains to the cryptids that live there, because if I saw like a mimic, a skinwalker, whatever, literally like attempting to lure me out, no, no, I'm leaving. Bye. You can have my house. Mm-mm. Now, the second story is called My Wife Keeps Smiling at Something Behind Me, and it is written by Donovan221. I'm only writing this because I don't know where else to turn. I don't know what this is. I don't know if it's a symptom of something larger or if she's been having episodes. She's just never acted this way before. Up until a few months ago, this would have scared her just as much as it's scaring me. But because it's becoming so common, it's like it's nothing more than an inconvenience to her now. Like an annoyance, something she's just learning to ignore. That's the part that makes me worry. Because this isn't just some small thing, yet she keeps trying to play it off as if it's just a part of our lives now. I know it's not natural. There's no medical condition or genetic disease that causes what she's been doing. At least, none that I've read about. A few months ago, my wife and I had been out on a date night. The night was almost magical, crisp, late winter air, a cup of hot chocolate in each of our hands as we walked through the square. I remember the lights more than anything. It was around 9 o'clock. The sun had just set hours earlier, but the downtown city lights illuminated nearly everything. Wow, my wife cried out in amazement. New York who, am I right? The square was particularly busy for this time of year. The smell of warm food from the surrounding restaurants filled the air. Live music from down the block whispered in our ears. There must have been 20 other couples doing the same exact thing my wife and I were doing, just walking around and enjoying the beautiful night. Oh, please, I responded. You know I'd rather be back there. I put on my best Southern accent. Could a city girl like you ever love a country boy like me? She laughed and rolled her eyes. I smiled down at her, admiring that laugh. Well, after only 5 years of marriage, I can't say for sure. Check back with me in a decade. She sipped from her hot chocolate slowly, her eyes still lit with love. Or maybe that was just the city lights. I checked my watch. Almost 9:30? God, I don't want the night to end though. I'm really enjoying this. Me neither. I wish we could just walk around here all night. Come on, there's gotta be one last thing we can do before we go home. Please, pretty please. Well, let's see. We've hit the bakery. Ooh, that one was fun. God, those fritters were amazing. We watched the Led Zeppelin cover band at Bottle Brothers. That one sucked. Next. You didn't like it? That's crazy. I thought they were decent. Anyway, we, oh right. We walked in the park for a bit too. That's really about all there is to do. She rolled her eyes again, sighing in disappointment. We have got to get out of here. I swear there's nothing to do within a 50-mile radius of this entire town. There's like no reason for us to be here. I had grown to agree with her more and more over the years. It was just hard, you know. This is where I'd been my whole life. She didn't move here until she was 17, when her mom got a new job. It paid better, but my wife was miserable. Well, miserable until she found me, of course. Yeah, I'm starting to think you're right, my love, I responded, a bit melancholic. Starting to? She cocked an eyebrow at me. Whatever, you know what I mean. We decided to end the night by going home and watching a movie. However, on the walk back to the car, that's when we saw it. The shop looked both ancient and brand new, but I don't know if that's just because I'd never seen it before. It was like it had popped up out of nowhere. The looking glass, palm readings, tarot cards, spiritual guidance. I swear we walked this street 100 times, never once had this place been here. Of course, my wife's interest was piqued immediately. Her eyes widened, a smile crept across her face. She looked up at me. Can we? I looked at her, then up at the purple neon sign of an eyeball in the palm of a hand, then back to her. I don't know. Aren't those places ripoffs anyways? Ugh, quit being a big old scaredy cat. Come on. It'll be fun, something we've never done before. And Lord knows there's not a lot of that around here. She turned on the puppy eyes. Pretty please? Fine, just this once. Yippee! The inside of the shop was a sight. Dream catchers everywhere, incense burning, beads instead of doors, and an empty front desk with a register that seemed to be at least 80 years old at this point. There was a bell with a sign in front of it, ring for service. I rang it, and I heard a voice cry out from beyond one of those beaded doors. I'll be right with you. Her accent was unmistakably Southern. That alone was nearly enough for me to want to change my mind. Just finishing up back here. My wife and I shared an uncertain look before she shot me a hopeful smile. The fortune teller stepped through the beads, a younger woman, probably around 25. She had fair brown hair, and freckles decorated her pale face, but the first thing I noticed was her eyes. Those were the only things that gave off fortune teller. They were crystal blue. Her pupils were like two tiny dots in the center of two diamonds. She was looking through us rather than at us. Her outfit gave fashion to that accent of hers. White tank top, baggy blue jeans, plus her hair was wrapped up in a red bandana. Y'all picked a good night to stop by, she announced. I can feel it in the air tonight, let me tell you. It does feel magical, my wife chirped. Let me guess, the fortune teller responded. She put her index finger to her right temple and shut her eyes tight. Death of a loved one? My wife and I glanced at each other again. No, I replied. No? She seemed almost offended, but quickly regained her composure. Huh. Must have been something else then. Let me try again. This is your first time doing something like this. She raised her eyebrows at us expectantly. Welp, there's a first for everything, right, sweetie? My wife asked me, rubbing my back. We're doing something we've never done before, I told the teller. See, there you go, she smiled. Second time's the charm. So, what can I interest you two lovebirds in this fine evening? Palm reading? Tarot? Spiritual guidance? I opened my mouth to respond, but my wife jumped in before I got the chance. Palm readings. I've always wanted to try that. Kinda. The teller gave her a nod before responding. If it's palm readings you want, then palm readings you shall have. For $25. A little taken aback by the price, I bit my tongue. I pulled my wallet out of my back pocket and slid a 20 and a 10 across the counter. Instead of giving me change, the teller took the money and continued looking at me expectantly. Oh, I'm sorry, she perked up. Was it just for your wife? What? No, we both want to do it. Oh, sweetheart, that's 25 apiece. A piece? For palm readings? I felt my wife squeeze my hand. I turned to her and saw the look on her face. That look that usually means, let it go. I sighed and slid another 30 across the counter. You want to include a tip? Uh, do I wanna? You know what? Sure, keep the change. Awesome. You guys are the best. I can sense it. Just follow me. I'll show you where the magic happens. She led us through the beaded doorway and down a hall that made me feel like I was on acid. There were so many vibrant colors and shapes. The incense was even stronger back here. We ended up in this dusty old room near the back of the building. There was this rickety wooden table in the center with a crystal ball resting on top of it, as well as two purple leather seats for my wife and me. We took our seats, and the teller sat across from us. Okay, she clapped, rubbing her hands together. Who wants to go first? I volunteered with an, I can go first. Let's see what that $25 can get me in this economy. I stretched out my hands and laid them palm up on the table. The teller grabbed them and squeezed tightly as she closed her eyes. Her face twitched and contorted for a few seconds before she finally spoke. Oh, yes, I can see a loving husband. I see you come from different worlds. You want to be free, but something is keeping you here. What exactly might that be? I smirked to myself. The $60 I gave you? I sense. Her face contorted again. She squeezed my hands tighter. I sense a cheapskate. All right, that's it. I pulled my hands back. I could hear my wife laughing at my side. The teller smirked at me. We're done here. Oh, come on, my wife pleaded. She was joking. Yes, Donovan, the teller responded. It was just a joke. My wife stopped laughing. We both turned to stare at the teller. How did... You're 28, right? Lived here your whole life, met a woman from out of town, fell in love, and now here you two are, in my shop. It's romantic, really. The silent room suddenly felt loud and claustrophobic. How did you know that? What's the gimmick? Public records? That's gotta be it, right? I looked at my wife for reassurance, but she was staring at the teller in amazement. No gimmick, no public records. I'm gifted. That's kind of the whole point. Do me, do me, my wife begged excitedly, sticking her hands across the table. Wait, hold on. This doesn't make any sense, I interjected. This is a cash grab, right? Come on. It's a cash grab. Both the teller and my wife looked at me angrily. Oh, Donovan, the teller sighed, proving my point more and more with each word, aren't you? Don't mind him. He's just not superstitious. Do me, though. I'm curious. The teller grabbed my wife's hands. I watched, feeling a mixture of nerves and hope that this could still prove to just be a coincidence. She squeezed my wife's hands tight and closed her eyes again. Ah, New York, I see. My wife's jaw dropped. Her eyes sparkled. Long way from home, aren't we, Miranda? My wife smiled over at me in disbelief. No way, she cheered. This is... Okay, haha. Kinda hurting me a little. I looked down and saw my wife's hands were turning red in the teller's. Hey, take it easy, I snapped. The teller's grip tightened again. Okay, this is really starting to hurt now. Let go, please. The teller was silent. Her eyes looked welded shut, and her face was twitching rapidly. Hey, I shouted. She said let go. What are you doing? She started convulsing, groaning loudly. Strings of saliva started falling from the corners of her mouth. I grabbed the teller's wrists to try and pry her hands away, but it was like trying to bend steel. Enough! I screamed. My wife was crying now. Get off of me! God, she's breaking my hands! I pulled with all my might, but it was like trying to move an anvil. I started punching the teller's forearms, blow after blow after blow, but still she just would not let go. Her hands were shaking. My wife was trembling. Finally, of her own volition, the teller dropped my wife's hands. Her eyes shut open. The bloodshot eyes made her diamond blue irises glow even more. Get out. That's all she said. My wife and I stared at her as she looked down at the table. Get out, she growled. Go now and never come back. We were confused and horrified, but still frozen. He's found you. He's been looking all your life. And he's here now. Get out. You can't just... The teller cut me off by slamming her fist against the table. Out! I demanded a refund, and she gave me back the full 60 before shooing us through the door. I turned around one last time to see the purple neon light flick off as the shop went dark. We walked silently to the parking garage. I'm sure my wife had a million things racing through her mind as we walked, but neither of us knew how to articulate those thoughts. We reached the car, and it wasn't until we were nearly home that I finally spoke again. "How are your hands?" She clenched and opened her fist a few times before responding. "I think they're okay. I'm more shaken up than anything. What the hell was that lady's problem?" "She's crazy," I shot back. "Simple as that." "She didn't seem crazy. It seemed like she saw something. You saw her. It was like she was possessed or something." "She was crazy, my love. She's lucky we don't go to the police." There was silence again for a few moments. "She knew our names, though. She knew you'd been here your whole life. She knew I was from New York. That doesn't seem like nothing to me." We were only a minute or two away from home. Neither of us spoke the rest of the car ride. When we pulled into the driveway, my wife sighed and placed her hands over her face, dragging them down slowly before opening the door. "Come on, let's just go inside. I'm ready to get this night over with." I checked my watch. 10:45. You still down for a movie? She stopped halfway up the front porch steps. "No, not tonight, hon. I just want to go to bed." Who was I to argue? I let her do as she pleased. I felt bad for her. I felt like I hadn't done enough to stop what had happened. All I wanted was for us to forget everything and move on. We had gradually started to put the teller behind us, though things didn't exactly calm down. If anything, our lives began to change, little by little. I started losing things. My phone, wallet, keys. I'd always find them in places that I knew I hadn't put them. Keys in the silverware drawer, wallet in the medicine cabinet, phone hidden behind the toilet. My wife was having some problems too. She hadn't been able to sleep very well. She would tell me about these horrible nightmares that sounded like sleep paralysis. "I'll wake up, but not really. I can't move. You're there, but there's always someone over your shoulder. It's like a shadow that just keeps growing and growing until it fills up the entire room." I felt even more guilty when she told me about them. I knew they had been caused by the fortune teller incident. She had slept like a baby nearly every night prior. Sometimes she'd wake up screaming. It almost made me too afraid to sleep in silence. She started looking tired more often. Her glow had dimmed a bit. The thing that disturbed me most, though, was probably the photos. I started finding our wedding photos scattered around the house, only my head was removed in each one. My wife insisted it wasn't her, but it didn't make sense. The frames were never broken. Someone had meticulously removed the photos and torn my head off in at least 20 different pictures. After a few weeks of these strange events, I decided we needed a refresher. We needed to be out again, see the sun, actually laugh with one another. It took some time, but eventually I convinced her that we needed to have another date night. We hadn't had one since the incident, and I was starting to miss who we were before we went to that fortune teller. It was simple, a picnic in the square. That was all I wanted to do. I had prepared our meal, packed the blanket, and put on my best clothes and cologne. My wife was nervous and tired, but she tried her best to make an effort. The date seemed to be going fine at first. She was actually smiling. She didn't seem as distant as she had been for the last few weeks. It felt like reclamation almost. The light hit her face perfectly, and I couldn't help but admire how beautiful she was, even if she did look a little sleep-deprived. I stared at her lovingly for a while before finally telling her how much I loved her, how happy I was to be there with her. "We needed this," I smiled. "Yeah," she smirked bashfully. "I think we did too. I was starting to feel so cooped up in the house. The energy has just been so dark recently. Makes me wonder if she was right." "Who?" I asked, chewing on my ham sandwich. She looked at me, raising her eyebrows. You know who. We gotta move on, my love. That's why the energy's so dark. We never experienced something like that before. Yeah, I guess you're right, she responded, taking a sip of her Coke. I just wish it hadn't happened. We both sat there for a while, half admiring the scenery, half enjoying the food. I was distracted, staring down at my pre-assembled sandwich when I asked her, "Can you pass me the mustard, please?" I put a piece of sliced turkey onto a piece of my bread. My wife didn't answer. "It's right beside you." I began spreading the mayonnaise on the other slice. My wife didn't answer. "The mustard, please?" I stuck my hand out expectantly. Still, no response. When I finally looked up, I almost dropped my sandwich. My wife was glaring over my shoulder. Her eyes were glazed over. An impossible smile stretched across her face. It looked painful. I could almost hear her teeth creaking from how tightly her jaw was clenched. Her red lipstick glistened under the lights. She looked like she was frozen in a state of pure ecstasy. I waved my hand in front of her. She didn't blink once. I shook her, and she was stiff as a board. I started to panic. I turned around and saw nothing behind me. "Honey," I gasped, shaking her more forcefully. "Talk to me." I pressed my hands on her cheeks. She was burning up. I snapped my fingers in front of her, but nothing I did seemed to get her out of her trance. I was on the verge of dialing 911 when she finally spoke again. "You said mustard?" She reached down and went to hand me the bottle before noticing how terrified I looked. "What's wrong? What happened? Is there something in my teeth?" "Are you kidding? You really don't know what you just did?" She stared at me blankly. "What do you mean? What did I do?" The smiling, staring at some unknown thing behind me? You don't want to explain that? I was almost breathless and trying my best not to raise my voice, but I could see she was hurt by my frustration. "I don't know," she pouted. "I don't know why you're mad at me." "No, honey," I pleaded. "I'm not mad at you. I'm worried about you." "You really don't remember?" She started crying, almost snapping at me. "No, obviously, I don't know what you're talking about. I want to go home now, if that's okay with you." We packed up and left. I kept trying to prod, but she became more and more closed off with every question. Eventually, I just decided to keep my mouth shut. In the weeks that followed, things became rocky. She'd be fine one minute and completely depressed the next. She'd love me and she'd hate me. I didn't know how to help her. Her episodes never stopped, though. It was like every time we started to feel normal again, she'd see that thing. We'd be curled up, watching a movie. I'd glance down, and there'd be that smile again. Her eyes would be glazed over and staring at nothing. The episodes lasted longer and longer every time they happened. At this point, they were starting to become more frequent too, but she never remembered them. She always thought I was lying to her, like it was some kind of twisted joke I'd play. No matter how hard I tried to convince her, it was like talking to a brick wall. The last time it happened was last week. She was gone for 3 hours straight, standing in the same spot, wearing the same smile, staring at the same wall. I watched her for the first hour, wondering what could possibly be going on inside that broken mind of hers. The second hour, I just cried uncontrollably. By the third hour, I was starting to become hopeless. When she finally came back, I tried showing her that it was dark outside now. It had been bright and sunny when the episode started. She blatantly chalked it up to her being lost in deep thought, told me it was like she was in another world. Her nightmares got worse, her glow became non-existent, and I started waking up with scratch marks and bruises on various parts of my body. I tried going back to the fortune teller, but the building was a coffee shop now, and according to the owner, the looking glass never existed. Apparently, the coffee shop had been there for 11 years. I just don't know what to do. I don't know who to turn to. My wife refuses my help. She refuses my advice. It's like something has taken control of her. She's more distant than ever. She talks to me less and less every day. It feels like our future is slipping. All I want is for her to be okay. But part of me believes she's too far gone. because I found another wedding photo this morning on the kitchen table. My head hadn't been removed, but the photo had been altered, because now, standing just behind me and looming over my shoulder, was a shadow figure, and the more I stared, the bigger it seemed to become. This story, also something I could do without, because you got insidious elements mixed with smile monster elements, and no, if my wife was doing that, I'm sorry, we're divorcing, because there's no reason you should be smiling at something behind me, especially when it or you being possessed by it is taking out pictures of my head in our photos. Because, like, what does that even mean? Literally, what could that even mean? Now, this next story is called The Lady in the Bank, and it is written by u/Dark of Night. This one, I have to say right out the gate, I really liked it a lot. It is very spooky, and you will see why when I get into it. Saturday. There's a lady in the bank. She's just standing there watching. She hasn't moved even once. She's been there all day. Maybe it's some creepy mannequin, but surely not. It's a bank. It's not even Halloween. My living room looks out across the street onto the bank. I stay on the first floor of an apartment block, and I have a decent view into the small upstairs office of the local bank. At the back of the office stands a lady, long black hair, white dress. She doesn't move. All the workers just ignore her. They sit at their computers, meet with people, laugh, drink coffee, but they don't look at her. Maybe it's a poster? Sunday. The bank is closed. She's still there, but she's a bit closer to the window now, just standing, looking across at me. What the hell? I can't find my binoculars. I wish I could see better. Monday morning. The bank is open. People work upstairs, but she's even closer. She's nearly at the window. Jesus have mercy. This can't be real. Is she a ghost? Am I losing my mind? I'm going to the bank to ask for the manager. This has to be a sick joke. Monday afternoon. The manager looked at me like I was crazy. He assures me nobody is there. He said he'd call the police if I didn't leave. She's still there. Tuesday. Lord, she's right at the window. Oh God, I can see her better now. She's so pale. This has to be a ghost or something. I can't look anymore. What happens when she can't go any closer? Wednesday. She's in the street, outside the bank in the street, just staring straight ahead. Oh God, at least she's not looking at me. Just straight ahead at the wall downstairs. This can't be real. People just walk around her like they know she's there, but don't see her. Nobody seems aware. I'm going to go downstairs and have a closer look. What if she needs help? Oh, no, 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 no. She tried to touch me. She stretched her arms at me and tried to get me. She's looking at me now, just standing there with those horrible arms stretched towards me, looking at me in my window. Thursday. I can't bring myself to look out the window. I'm tired and barely sleeping. She looks even worse at night. It's almost like she glows. She doesn't, but the dress and her skin are just so white. I tried to call Peter. He just asked if I was off my meds. I got angry at that and hung up. Thursday afternoon. I had to look. She's still there, but she's closer. She's in the middle of the road, looking, arms stretched out. I'm too scared to go out in case she runs at me. What if she gets me? What's going to happen to me? Friday. She's gone. I'm so happy I could cry. I even leaned out my window and she's not underneath. She's gone. Maybe it was some stupid prank after all. I'm going to write a complaint to the bank. What a sick joke. I'll post it straight away. She's on my stairs. Oh God, she's not gone. She's on my stairs. She's down at the front of the building, just standing on my stairs. Oh, please, God Jesus, please help me, please. I've tried phoning out, and my phone doesn't work. I've tried shouting out my window and nobody can hear me. What's happening to me? Saturday. She's in my apartment. She's in my hall. I can't even go to the bathroom. She got in through my locked door. I'm losing my mind. Please, God. Sunday. She's in my living room by the door. I'm in the corner writing this. She hasn't moved, but she's just staring and stretching her arms towards me. She doesn't breathe. She doesn't move. She doesn't exist. She doesn't exist. She doesn't exist. She doesn't exist. I don't exist. It's not real. Nothing is real. She's right in front of me. I can't move. I'm here in my own mess and I can't move. This isn't real. Please, that's where Paul's, not his real name, diary stopped. I got worried after the last phone call and went to his house eventually. He wasn't answering the phone. I found him in a puddle of his own waste backed into the corner of his living room, dead. He was holding this diary that you just read in his hand. They say he had a heart attack. The guy was only 28. Paul took medication for depression, but I don't think he was crazy. I couldn't think where else to post this, and honestly, it's got me terrified. Has anyone experienced anything like this? I just want to know what happened to my friend. Okay, that was The Lady in the Bank, and I have to say, I am a huge fan of like The Ring and getting some Sadako type action. Like, that's always going to spook me and get me every time because I love a little like found footage horror, like you get a spooky little videotape or there's just something not right and nobody else can see it but like you, and you have to kind of like try and defeat that monster or let it get you. I love that kind of stuff. Like, I think it's fun. It's fun for me. Um all right, it is your lucky day because I thought that I had enough stories to fill out this whole video. Turns out I do not, but that is okay because I have so many more lined up. So this one is titled Green Bowl and it's written by u/choicead7133. It has an author's note. Feel free to create your own remakes or reinterpretations of this story. And you know what? I will, because I feel like there's such a good ending, but it kind of gets a little like meh whenever the author goes on. I like this is a good story. If they would have just ended where I'm choosing to end the story, I think it really would have just elevated the spookiness of it. But anyways, let's get into it. The bowl was always green, not olive, not mint, just green. A dull plastic green bowl with scratches along the rim. It sat on the kitchen or living room floor every day, every afternoon, and every night. Always filled with chopped carrots, steamed broccoli, lentils mashed into a paste, brown rice, and kale finely cut so it would be easier on his stomach. The man called it kindness. The dog didn't. Joseph used to love the sound of the cupboard opening. The clatter of kibble had meant comfort, warmth, a tail that wagged without thought. But that was years ago, many years ago, before the man changed. Before the man started talking to Joseph as if he was a child who didn't understand yet. You don't need meat. It's cruel. It's pain. It's hatred. It's poison. You will feel so much better once your body adjusts. Joseph never touched the food right away. He would sniff it, nose trembling, his eyes slowly lifting to see the man. The man always smiled then, wide, proud, and satisfied. Good boy, the man said. You'll thank me one day. Joseph grew thin. His ribs became visible first, lines beneath fur, then sharper edges. His walks became slower. His eyes changed, not weak, but watchful, patient. The man mistook this for obedience. The evening everything ended began like any other. The man came home late from work, shoulders slumped, tie loosened, rain clung to his coat. He kicked his shoes off by the door and sighed loudly and heavily. Rough day, he said. Joseph waited silently. The green bowl was filled again, but this time the sweet potatoes and peas drizzled with something the man called nutritious yeast. There, the man said. Perfect. Joseph didn't move. The man frowned. Eat. Still nothing. You'll eat when you're hungry enough, the man said, standing upright. His phone buzzed in his pocket, and he groaned. Work. He walked upstairs, phone already at his ear. Joseph watched him go. The calls lasted a long time. The man paced the bedroom, voice rising and falling. Complaints about deadlines, about coworkers who didn't get it, about how exhausting it was to always be right. Then another, friends this time, joking, laughing, talking over one another, and talking about diets, about discipline, about sacrifice. While downstairs, the green bowl remained untouched. Joseph sat beside it as stone. Then there came the fall. A misstep on the stairs. Something slick underfoot. Water, oil, or maybe something else spilled. The man's foot slid forward. His body flew, and the world snapped sideways. There was a sharp sound, and then quiet. When he woke up, he knew something was wrong immediately. He could see the ceiling, he could hear the refrigerator, and the sound of a ticking clock. And when he could not move or speak, he tried to blink. No response. Tried to swallow. Nothing. Tried to scream, but couldn't. Pounding uselessly against a body that could no longer answer. He realized he was paralyzed. The thought landed heavily, like a sentence without appeal. Then he started to hear footsteps, soft and careful. Joseph appeared. At first, the man felt relief so intense it nearly broke him. Joseph, he tried to say. Joseph. The dog stood on two legs, not suddenly, not grotesque. It felt inevitable. Joseph's body had changed, larger, upright humanoid. His eyes were the same. He looked down at the man. You finally stopped moving, Joseph said. The voice was deep, calm, and gentle. The man tried to shake his head, tried to deny what he was seeing. Joseph knelt beside him. I was so tired. Do you know what it's like to be hungry every day? Not just empty, but starved. Like something essential had been taken away and replaced with ideals. You called it kindness. The man's eyes burned. Then Joseph placed a hand on the man's chest. I've been waiting for you to rest, waiting for this body to stop commanding, stop correcting, and stop deciding what I needed. The man wanted to beg, to apologize, to promise meets, walks, anything. But his body and voice betrayed him completely. Joseph leaned closer. There's warmth inside you, life, strength, things you told me I didn't need. Tears slid from the man's eyes, quiet and unstoppable. Joseph noticed them. Don't cry. This is natural. This is balance. The green bowl clattered somewhere. I won't be hungry anymore. That's where I personally would end it. I'm going to leave a link down below, or at least the title of it. I don't know. I don't have access to links yet because I need to post consistently, and I don't really want to give YouTube my face, which is silly because I'm making videos. But as you can see, I am faceless for the time being. So if you want to go check this out, it's on r/scarystories, and it is called The Green Bowl. It's a pretty good story. I just think the little bits that they added towards the end weren't necessary, and it's kind of just like gore for gore's sake. So that's why I'm stopping it where it is. But I hope that you enjoyed. And if you like the video, feel free to subscribe because I plan on doing more of these. One of my goals this year is to do something that I really like doing and making sure that I stay consistent with it. So if you would like to stay tuned and watch me grow, then feel free to subscribe. Either way, I appreciate all those who watch, and I hope that you have a good night.